Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the free-to-play challenge and we're going to see, get a good idea of how you can beat the Android's Super Battle Road stage completely free-to-play. Now the Android Super Battle Road stage is generally, I would say, of moderate difficulty. When it came out it was still only really of moderate difficulty. It was never a truly super hard stage. I think the typings are definitely a problem. The stages are multiple enemy fights. You generally are facing quite a few enemies at once during this phase, and yeah, you can obviously experience some difficulties when it comes to the actual amounts of supers you can face. With that being said, everything else about the stage is generally okay. I would say the biggest challenge is the final fight. I think it can be quite challenging. It can pose a lot of difficulties. But I think the Android category itself is a very strong category, even from a free-to-play standpoint. So I think generally Android is a very strong team. You have Gamma 1, Gamma 2, Cell, Transforming Cell, 16, 18, 19, 20... just listing those units off alone, pretty strong team. Pretty strong team. So I think from a free-to-play standpoint, the team is also pretty decent. And now we are using only the Android Cell Saga based free-to-play units. We've even kind of subdivided our free-to-play team a little bit more because we're trying to use a int Cell as our friendly, because I do think int Cell, at least at this point on global, is a very strong option. He brings a heal, he brings a lot to the table, just generally a pretty helpful unit. Now in terms of the actual units themselves and the team, I think it's pretty straightforward. Most players who kind of looked at an Android's team before, looked at your free-to-play options, I think have seen relatively the same units kind of floating around, but we'll obviously just kind of run through them super duper quickly. So obviously as our lead, we are running the LR AGL Easy Aid Android 17 and 18. Pretty difficult unit to get, but not too hard. I mean, running 77 Dokkan events sounds like a terrible time, but you'll get through that pretty easily. Yeah, strong unit. Obviously they get stronger facing the superclass enemies, and we don't really have that. The Android stage for some reason is facing extreme units all the time, which it is what it is, considering Androids are also extreme for the most part. So yeah, obviously that is part of it, but yeah, generally speaking they're still very good. Even though we aren't facing superclass enemies the whole time, we don't really have any major issues. So yeah, the AGLR androids do a very good job. They provide support, they do decent debuffing as well, so I would say overall they do a very good job. Plus they give us the highest free-to-play lead skill we can get, which is 80%. We could run a slightly higher one under the LR Artificial Lifeform Cell, but then we'd be restricted to only Artificial Lifeforms units, which isn't too bad, but yeah. I just felt like it was a lot easier to run the AGL LR Android 17 and 18, just because, yeah, they run a bit smoother for me, at least on my opinion. Then alongside them we have pretty interesting pairings. We've got Android 17 Future and Android 18 Future. So Android 17 Future greatly raises his attack, raises his defense permanently. He has attack and defense of 100%, an additional attack is 17% for each key sphere obtained, an additional attack and defense is 70%, a medium chance of crit when there's an Android 18 attacking in the same turn, and when he's facing a hybrid Saiyans or Earthlings category enemy, he has the chance to fire an additional attack. Now, this is somewhat irrelevant to us, because quite frankly, we don't face any hybrid Saiyans or anything like that in this event. So beyond that though, pretty good. We're going to obviously pair him up with the Android 18 Future, so the strength one. She's very much the same, greatly raising attack, raising defense, She gains 18% attack and defense per rainbow key 3 obtained. She will have the same 70% attack and defense if Android 17 is in the turn. However, she will gain 30% medium chance of evasion, so she does a pretty good job from that perspective. Again, we can't really use her ability to launch an additional attack because we're not facing hybrid Saiyans or Earthlings category units. Floating around and just kind of doing her thing is the other strength Android 18, but the non-future one. This one has attack and defense at 18% per Android's category unit on the team. She has an additional attack of 18% with each attack performed, up to 55%. Gives all allies and all Androids allies 18% and 1 key and 2 key each, which means in total for Android's units, she is a 36% attack and defense support and a 3 key support, which is pretty good. She also has a medium chance of launching an additional super attack when there's another Android's ally in the turn, and she debuffs opposition with lowering attack and defense, which is pretty good. It's always helpful in SPR, and it really helps out overall. The other floating unit we're going to have is Android 16. In Android 16, well, as you guys should know, raises his defense. He also lowers enemy attack. So again, we've got some pretty strong lowering attack options basically. He has attack and defense of 160%, which is always solid. Plus an additional defense of 80% when facing 2 or less enemies. High chance of guarding all attacks when all allies attacking in the same turn are Android Cell Saga units. So this is very important, not to mention he also has guaranteed guard when facing 3 or more enemies. So he's a pretty reliable floater for SBR and ESBR, and he will reduce damage received by 60% when guard is active. So I think he's super duper reliable, very solid unit, does a great job. And yeah, he's a really nice floating option to kind of just have floating around doing his thing. You could put him main rotation with Incel, but I just didn't really feel like it. But yeah, he's a very solid unit. Then we have the Tech LR First Form Cell. So we don't have his EZA on global obviously, but yeah, just a fun unit to run. Generally speaking, he recovers HP of 15% on his 12 key. Will lower again attack and defense on his 18 key, so you can see that we have a lot of attack lowering, which is really super duper helpful. He has attack and defense of 20,000, key +1 with each super attack performed. When key is 18 or more, he will have an additional attack of 20,000, and if the enemy is in attack down status, he will perform a crit, which is helpful because we have a lot of lowering attack. So basically we have a lot of ways to set up his crit, and that's generally pretty good. And then yeah, finally, obviously as a friend lead, in case you really needed a reminder, but we have the Int LR Cell. Int LR Cell, as you guys know, leads the Android Cell Saga category. He's a fantastic unit, 180% lead, raises his defense, greatly raises attack, more attack and defense based on how many enemies he's facing. Will have a high chance of launching an additional super attack. He's got the full heal from his passive. He's just got a lot. He's got a lot going on, and yeah, just makes life easier. And that's that. As you can see, super duper simple, free to play, easily done. I think you could probably even do it in an item, to be entirely honest with you. Super duper simple SBR run and very clean. So if you're looking to do some SBR free to play, Androids is a really good starting point. Lots of great units that'll actually help you out in a bunch of other runs and things like that as well. That's it from me. See you next time. Bye.